Okay, today let's go over the U.S. men's national team in anticipation of the World Cup. We'll talk about a little history, who their coach is, how they play, and players in their squad, and a prediction of how they're going to do. Got three kits to show off for you today, starting with this one from the 2019 World Cup from the women's team. And you'll see that it's missing that fourth star over the badge there because they won that tournament. On the back, I got one of my favorite players, Kristen Press, and you'll see on the blue strip at the top, it also has the three stars representing the three World Cups up to that point. Additionally, I love the detail on the back of the jersey here where you can see most of the United States stitched in there in the gray. Okay, back over to the men's team. They have pretty straightforward nicknames, as we know, the Stars and Stripes, as well as the Yanks. Home kit is all white as a top, and away kits generally draw from the other two colors of the flag, being red and blue. Two pieces of minutia that are a little bit different for the U.S. men's national team are that there's no one defined captain at the moment, although there's a couple players who are the captain frequently, with Christian Pulisic or Tyler Adams taking the band a lot. And second, there's no one home ground, no one home stadium that the United States men's national team plays at, unlike other countries that usually have one, maybe two. Across their entire history, 116 different stadiums have been used for home matches across 29 states plus DC, and the most have been played there at their recently condemned RFK Stadium. Second kit to show you is the away kit from 2014 with the blue, white, and red from the flag, making up the different layers. This was a pretty well-loved one by fans, and you can see it has the older style of crest instead of the new one, which is worn by the women and the men. This being the 2014, that's a way to lead into discussion about World Cup results. Unfortunately, 2014 was the last time the men's team competed in the World Cup, having missed the next edition in 2018 due to a shock loss to Trinidad and Tobago during qualifying. A memorable one here has to be 2014 due to the match in the round of 16 where they were knocked out by Belgium, but Tim Howard, as goalkeeper, made 15 saves, which is a World Cup record. Along with Mexico, the United States are the two powerhouse giants in the CONCACAF region. They've taken 7 Gold Cup titles, that being second only to Mexico's 11 across the CONCACAF Championship and Gold Cup eras. Additionally, they won the inaugural Nations League here in the CONCACAF region, defeating Mexico in the final here in Denver after a thrilling match which saw many bottles thrown onto the field after the winning goal by Christian Pulisic in extra time. Obviously, the sport of soccer is still growing in the United States with a lot of momentum in the last couple years. That makes this World Cup one that has a lot of optimism around it, expectation, but a hefty dose of skepticism as well. And on that note, and this kit from 2016, let's talk about the U.S. men's national team in the World Cup. This latest crop of young talent in the men's national team that's been developing over the last 4, maybe 5 years is probably the best generation we've ever had, with more and more young athletes in the United States moving to soccer instead of to American football or basketball or baseball. The team is managed by Greg Berhalter, who was previously the manager of Columbus Crew before being appointed to the national team. Berhalter spent the last couple of years developing the men's team into a more modern style of play, utilizing ball possession as well as small triangle passing and the idea that you can play in positional zones around the pitch in order to develop more of an attacking flair going into the final third. Altering the style of play for a club, no less for an entire nation that doesn't meet as frequently, is a really tough task. Berhalter has taken it on the last couple years, and missing the previous World Cup has its one benefit that the new players coming into the squad can all develop in the same style of play at the same time together. It's still a work in progress, and the challenge I need to see the team take on in the World Cup is being more decisive with their passes going into the final third. They're good at winning the ball in midfield from the opposition, but at that time they generally pass laterally or back when they really need to be looking forward, finding a player, passing decisively, and bringing pace to the attack. Their movement around the pitch, drawing their opponents out of position, developing more space for their attackers, is pretty good. Getting those passes into that space, having their wingers know how to find that space and be there when the ball is delivered in order to create a chance offensively is a big challenge that they really need to take on and move forward with in the next 3 games. So let's take a look at the squad and key positions. Like a lot of nations going into this World Cup, the USA has one center back, Walker Zimmerman, that's really a lock and everybody knows he's going to start, but the second position, who's going to be alongside him, really is up for grabs. Of the squad that Berhalter has announced, I think there are 3 players in contention, with the first being Aaron Long, who plays for New York Red Bulls, and his aggression and defense, I think pairs well with Walker Zimmerman. The second being Cameron Carter-Vickers, who plays for Celtic in Scotland, and his European experience will be a great boon for the United States. And the dark horse is Tim Ream from Fulham. Because he plays in Europe and plays against English and Welsh players all the time in the Premier League, I think he can benefit along with the wisdom that he brings from his age. At right back, I expect to see Serginho Dest. He is an AC Milan player, Dutch-born but a U.S. international. He's coming off an injury, so don't be surprised if you see DeAndre Yedlin playing in the position, the one player in the squad who has World Cup experience. On the other side, it's pretty much a lock that you're going to see Anthony Robinson, the man also known as Jedi. The benefit for Berhalter is the midfield has already sorted itself out, with these three men being the choices. The first being Yunus Musa from Valencia, as well as second, Weston McKennie, who's come back from an injury at Juventus, and finally, Tyler Adams of Leeds United. Finally, in the forward positions, the long-standing question mark has been who's going to be the striker for the United States, with winger positions really settling themselves out with probably Pulisic, as well as Brendan Aronson, and finally Gio Reyna, back from injury as well at Dortmund, being the guys that are go-to. But in the end, the man in the middle really is the big question. These are the men who've been fighting it out for the last year or so with club form, as well as international matches to try and stake their claim. Nobody's really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck with consistent goal-scoring form for the men's national team, who haven't scored a goal in their last two friendlies in September, which is a concerning issue. Here's a little bit about each of them. I'm thrilled that Berhalter has brought in Haji Wright from Antalyaspor in Turkey because he's had a great season and he's a big, powerful forward. He's probably going to be a backup, though. As far as taking a look at two young strikers, people were thinking that Ricardo Pepi might be the answer after he moved to Europe with FC Augsburg. And even with his parent club shipping him out to Groningen and having a good start to the season there, he didn't make the squad. That's probably because that younger striker position can be filled by Jesus Ferreira of FC Dallas. He does score goals and has 7 for the men's national team. Bunches of them are scored at a time by him, but he doesn't really score goals in big matches. The final man in here is Josh Sargent, who had a difficult time scoring goals in the Premier League last season, albeit with a relegation club with Norwich City. Now that they are in the second tier in England, he is scoring goals. Paired with his time at Werder Bremen the previous season in Germany scoring goals, he does have the talent here, but he hasn't proved it at the highest level yet. Around all of that, people are saying that Pulisic might be able to play in this position or as a false 9 up top. I don't think that's the right option for America, and I really think it's going to come down to whoever Berhalter sees playing and training the best in the last couple sessions before the first game. They have a difficult group coming up with England, Iran, and Wales. If they can take a win against Wales, that puts them in a good position to get out of the group, which is a question mark still for me at this moment. If they can then put together a good performance against England and at least get a point, they'll go into the final match against Iran with a good chance to get out of the group stage. But Iran actually can be a banana peel they could slip on because they always have the talented Mehdi Taremi from FC Porto waiting in the wings to score a big goal. I do think we have a good chance of getting out of the group stage, although it's still a question mark. If they do get out, it probably means a conflict with the Netherlands in the round of 16, which is where I would see things ending, seeing as the Netherlands are kind of a dark horse to win the entire tournament. Beyond that, if they do overcome that hurdle in the round of 16, they're probably going to get smacked in the face by France or Argentina. Regardless of the result in this World Cup, the United States needs to gain experience for the current generation in a big tournament, as well as show poise and bravery going up against big nations around the world and build ourselves into a larger soccer nation.